Section 3.5 notes number 2 is still a continuation of slope-intercept form, but we're actually going to start this section with reviewing over what standard form is. If you remember from last year, standard form is ax plus by equals c. So basically the x and y terms are on the left side of the equal sign and the constant term is on the right side. A, b, and c are real numbers and a and b are both not zero. So again, standard form is ax plus by equals c. A, b, and c are all real numbers. Typically they're whole numbers and the a value is typically not negative, and a and b both cannot be equal to 0. An example would be 3x minus 4y equals negative 12. Standard form is best to use when you're finding the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And just as a reminder, to find an x-intercept you put 0 in for y, and to find a y-intercept you put 0 in for x. You might remember this as the cover-up method. So for example, if I was to substitute 0 in for y into this equation down here, that would take out this entire term, since negative 4 times 0 is 0. So I cover up this term and I'd be left with 3x equals negative 12. So all I'd have to do is take negative 12 divided by 3 to get the x-intercept. To find the y-intercept, I would put 0 in for x. That would be 3 times 0 is 0, so it would take out the x term, and I would be left with negative 4y equals negative 12. So all I'd have to do is take negative 12 divided by negative 4 to find the y-intercept. So thinking of this as the cover-up method is perfectly acceptable as we move through this section. Example number 1, graph using intercepts. So they want us to take 2x minus 3y equals negative 12 and graph this equation by finding the intercepts. So let's start by doing that. To find the x-intercept, I plug 0 in for y. So again, if I put 0 in for y, that basically will just take out the minus 3y. So I would be left with 2x equals negative 12. So divide both sides by 2, I end up with x equals negative 6. So my ordered pair would have been negative 6, comma 0, since I put 0 in for y. For the y-intercept, I put 0 in for x. Putting 0 in for x would take out my 2x, so I'd be left with negative 3y equals negative 12. If I divide both sides by negative 3, I get y equals 4. So my ordered pair would be 0, 4. Now, I have 2 points. I have my x-intercept and my y-intercept. Since 2 points determine a line, all I need to do is plot the negative 6, 0 and the 0, 4 and connect those 2 points to graph this equation. So there's the point negative 6, 0, and there's the point 0, 4. And again, since 2 points determine a line, I'm just going to connect those 2 points. And there's my graph using the intercepts. So instead of getting y by itself to find the m and the b, I can also graph equations by finding the x-intercept and the y-intercept and then connecting those 2 points. And here's a review over horizontal and vertical lines. All you need to remember is hoy and vux. The h in hoy stands for horizontal. The o actually is a 0 since the slope of a horizontal line is 0. And an equation that is a horizontal line is y equals. So for example, if I had an equation like y equals 3, I would know that's a horizontal line with a 0 slope going through the y-axis where y is equal to 3. As far as vux goes, the v stands for vertical. The u stands for undefined since the slope of a vertical line is undefined. And the x is for x equals, since the equations of vertical lines would look like x equals some number. So for example, if it was x equals negative 4, I would know I would have a vertical line that has an undefined slope going through the x-axis where x is equal to negative 4 at. Example number 2, one bank charges $1.50 for each use of its debit card. Another bank charges $10 per month for an unlimited number of debit card uses. How many times per month would you need to use your debit card to make the bank that charges a flat rate the better choice? First, we're going to have to come up with some equations. It says one bank charges $1.50 for each use. So if x is the number of uses, and it says each use, that means I'm going to multiply. So my equation would be the amount I'm paying y would be equal to $1.50 times the number of times I'm using my debit card x. So I'd have y equals $1.50x. For bank number 2, it says $10 per month. I'm charged $10 no matter what. So that equation would be the amount that I'm getting charged Y would be equal to just 10. I'm not multiplying by anything since it's just a flat rate of $10. So I will graph each one of these separately. Y equals $1.50x. I'm going to think of that as y equals 3 over 2x, since 1.5 as a fraction is 3 over 2. So that means it has a slope of 3 over 2 and a y-intercept of 0. I'd plot the 0 first on the y-axis and then go up 3 and over 2. And you can see here where I did just that. I started at 0, then I counted up 3 and over 2. I wanted my graph to be really precise because I'm going to need to tell where these two equations run into each other at. So I continued to go up 3 and over 2, up 3 over 2, just so I could get a really nice precise line. To graph y equals 10, that would be a Hoy problem since it's y equals, so I know it's going to be a horizontal line going through the y-axis where y is equal to 10. So I'm simply just going to go up 10 units on the y-axis and draw a horizontal line through it. And there's my graph, y equals 10. You can see these two lines now intersect. The place where they intersect would be where the two banks would equal each other. So the place of their intersecting would be right here. That ordered pair would be about 710, since I'm counting over 7 units and up 10. Now remember, the X value represented the number of times you use your debit card. The Y value represents how much your bank is charging you for using your debit card. So by having our two lines intersect at 710, that would tell me that I need to use the debit card at least 7 times in order for the two banks to be equal to each other. Anything after 7 uses per month, I would want to choose bank number 2, since I'm just going to be charged that regular $10 flat fee. If I chose bank 1, I'm still going to be continued to be charged $1.50 each time I use it after 7 uses. So therefore, to answer the question, it said, how many times per month would you need to use your debit card to make the bank that charges the flat rate the better choice? It would be anything after 7 uses. So again, I would choose the flat rate if I plan to use my debit card more than 7 times per month. That's actually it for this section. Make sure you jot down anything you didn't understand so we can cover it in class before we move on in this section. And we'll see you then.